Hey guys, so it's been a while since I've tried out playing Evasion Musa, and I finally took the step to give it a go again. I've reached a really good gear point in BDO, around 790 gear score, and decided to put it to the test. The goal for this build was to basically use it in uncapped group PvP scenarios such as Guild League and Node Wars. The results in my mind have been sort of varied, as I feel like I've had moments of increased survivability, which has led to a lot less deaths, but at the same time, the damage trade-off has been huge. BDO is in an ever-increasing meta of two options. Option 1, you play a tank role on an overly tanky class like Zerker, Striker or Mystic. You lose most of your damage output, but heavily impact the fights due to your utility, such as grabbing, vacuuming, and simply never bloody dying. Option 2, you play an iframe high damage nuke class like Sage, Hash, Megu, Deadeye, Sork, and so on. You're easily killed when caught, but catching you is incredibly difficult due to the iframe movement. Musa is kinda in between these two options. You can build into maximum damage and play a very passive role of only waiting for the right opportunity, or you can build into high evasion stats and act as a tank that soaks damage. But the problem in either of these scenarios is that you have no iframes to compete properly with the iframe classes, and your damage trade-off is massive if you build in the tank, whilst also not really having crazy utility like a grab or vacuum. To put it simply, it's a good class, but it's fallen behind in 2025. Whilst I can show you footage of absolutely popping the hell off against very well geared and experienced players while running Evasion, like this fight against the guild, I can equally show you the other end of the stick of being borderline useless. Musa is not a powerhouse class that can pop off and solo carry. It's extremely reliant on your team simply being stronger. This is meant to show you the capabilities of what we can achieve in endgame nowadays. The real question that needs to be answered though is why bother playing Evasion Musa? You can just do everything better on other classes. Even the most experienced Musa players have resorted to using Zerker, the famous desync grab teleport unkillable tank class, to have more fun. And well, I guess that's all it comes down to really, fun. I do have to admit it's been a breath of fresh air to have some matchups of getting grabbed and standing up like nothing happened. Most of my 9 years of Musa, it's always been a class that you would get caught by a grab or misplay or desync happened, and that's it, you die. So after having matches like these, where I have the ability to not stress over every single threat in the way, I gotta say Evasion Musa's good enough for what it is. Class balance will never be perfect, and Arena of Solar is coming up, which will consist of me getting farmed by Suck Hash and Awakening Sages non-stop, but I still really like the potential on offer with Evasion. The build is basically 312 AP with around 1440 evasion. However, I've been consistently swapping the setup on the go as it really depends on the opponent. In certain fights, I ended up dropping to 1250 evasion to play with more human damage, and it didn't feel too bad. Ideally, I would love to reach a point of having DR and evasion armor setups, but it's a bit costly to get into right now. Musa is a very solid class in the current year and can definitely build into evasion if you don't mind the changing of your role to be more supportive, but I also feel like it's best to stick with DR if you want a more challenging lifestyle and like to play reactively to other people's actions. I will most likely be swapping back to DR for the time being, but we'll be awaiting the next new class release to see if it's evasion based. Oh, and for Red Karma gameplay, if any of you do that, Evasion is still by far the king for that content. Peace.